guys, I just want to tell you about my new hobby. I started collecting vintage Beatle albums.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I need help. It took a second.
Like, I don't even like the Beatles that much, and that was a good one.
Help! I need somebody. Help!
Oh,
It's a song.
that makes more sense.
Uh, yeah. So I think last time I recorded, I missed our introduction because I was trying new things. And welcome everybody to the next episode of As Dad as It Gets, the podcast for dads, by dads, around dads. It's very daddy.
I don't like that one.
Listen, I've been up since 3:30. This is what you guys are getting, and I'm your host, Larry. And with me, as always, are my two best buds, Tom and David. Say hi, guys.
How's everyone doing?
Hello.
Sleepy. We got a new dog, and yeah, it's pretty much like having a baby because she's a year old. But it's just another female in my house. It's like me and the cat are the only ones.
You're outnumbered.
Yeah. But we're not talking about animals today, or being sleep deprived. Well, sleep deprivation can lead to this. So our topic today is losing your cool. It's inevitable with every parent, like unless you're Miss Rachel. Every parent is going to have those days where they're overstimulated, they're tired, exhausted. Everybody's screaming for help. And we as humans, we tend to lash out. So it's something that I think definitely needs to be talked about, because like I'm really bad about it. And I think overall what the main thing is. So for example, the other day I was on the phone with my wife. I had the new dog jumping on me, again, tired. And my daughter was like super excited and was jumping like all over me. And I snapped and I told her to stop. And like it's something that's going to happen. Have you guys ever lashed out at your kids?
Oh, for sure. The one thing I just always make sure to do after I do that is realize that I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Because they shouldn't have been yelled at. And then I apologize to them.
Yes.
I sit them down. I explain why I yelled, but that it wasn't okay and that I will try not to do that again.
Exactly. Because
I apologize less to my son because he's to the point right now. He's 4 and he's in the F it 4 stages. So the only time he listens at all is when I raise my voice. He's at that stage at the moment, but I still apologize to him afterwards and tell him I didn't mean to.
And I think it's hard to. It's easy to forget that they have all these huge emotions. Like we've had 30 years to figure our crap out and we still haven't figured it out. And they're not at 30 years. And I constantly, I feel like crap whenever I snap at my daughter or I snap at my wife. And if I do snap at them, I'm like, I am sorry. And sometimes I don't even realize that I'm doing it. And I think that's another important thing with your partner. If you do have a partner in parenting, like we have a code word, me and my wife do. And the code word was figured out before TikTok made it a different thing. So have you guys ever seen the show Chuck?
Yes.
Nope.
It's been a while, but yeah.
You guys need to watch more TV. So in the episode of Chuck, it's about a guy who works at pretty much a Best Buy. And they're doing a Black Friday sale. Well, they have a panic word. They call it pineapple. So that has become mine and my wife's panic word. So when we say something that is out of line, when we snap, when we do something like that, instead of being like, hey, why don't you quit being an a-hole? Because that's just going to start more arguments. We just look at each other and we're like, pineapple. And that signals us to take a step back, look at what we're doing, and reevaluate it. 99% of the time, it's her saying it to me because I'm a snappy old man.
See, when you said figure it out, the first thing that popped into my head was, and I don't know if you guys have watched it, Letterkenny.
No, I haven't seen it.
It is.
I hear good things.
It's fantastic. The first few seasons are fantastic. The later ones, not so much, but that's one of their sayings is just figure it out.
Yeah. Because like you can snap and not even realize that you're just being a jerk. And I think the biggest thing, we can teach our kids more by what we do wrong and how we approach what we do wrong rather than what we do right. I'm not saying snap at your kids all the time, but show them that it's okay to be human rather than trying to be Bandit or Miss Rachel, like those perfect parents that we try to model ourselves after.
I think so. My biggest problem, I don't snap at my son that much. Like, I've learned to take deep breaths. Like, I'm one of two people he doesn't do a gator roll with anytime I try and change a diaper. He does it with his mom. He does it with his grandma. It's myself and my fiance's stepdad, the only two people that he doesn't do that with. And I'm not sure what it is. Like, I don't know what the presence is or like what causes it, but like that's the only time that like I would snap at him. Like, other times I just say his name and like I'll use my dad voice rather than my normal voice, and he'll stop what he's doing and figure it out. My problem is more with like, I've snapped at my fiance a few times because my son hasn't slept well and like I'm sleep deprived or whatever, and like that's what agitates me. And it's hard because like that's not the person I want to snap at,
Right?
like and I know she can understand like, hey, like you're the stay-at-home dad, like you're doing all of the child caretaking for the most part, like maybe part of the day, like a couple days a week, like she will or grandma will take care of my son, but it's a lot. And having to do that on top of like, I also do all the garbage. I wash the bottles and sterilize them and dry them every night. And I do the Swiffering because our dog sheds like a maniac. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot. Like, and some of the stuff doesn't bother me. Like, I don't care if there's dog hair on the floor. I grew up with dogs all my life. Like, it doesn't bother me. But like, I know it bothers her. And then she asks me to do it, and it kind of just piles on. Like, it's one more thing. Like, instead of 10 minutes to myself to sit on the couch and scroll through my phone or watch TV or whatever, it's Swiffered the entire house, because almost our entire house is like hardwood or hardwood laminate. And
your dog knows how to shed, like right in those right spots. He does it on purpose.
And like, he will, so he's got like deer antlers to chew on.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like he had deer antlers. So it's like, what kind of dog do you have? That might be a deer.
I did not see that in the
No,
picture, son.
he has torn up every rope toy, every indestructible toy, every like stuffed animal looking toy that we've gotten him, and like these are the only things that like can actually stay around.
Basically rocks.
Yeah, but he'll kick them underneath the TV stand, and then he'll try and get them out. But while he's trying to get them out, he's getting a bunch of his fur out from underneath as well. And then there's like little tumbleweeds of dog fur.
I love the tumbleweeds.
And like I could have literally just Swiffered the day before, and then there's hair everywhere because he tried to get an antler out.
Yeah.
We have a Bernese mountain dog.
So you know about her.
Nothing but hair. I brush her almost every day in the summer, and by the time I'm done brushing her, it looks like there's a little Pomeranian next to us every day.
Like, I mean, pugs shed pretty bad too. I've forgotten about how bad they shed until we got one recently. But yeah, like chores definitely stress me out as well. Laundry is what gets me.
I will say she does all of the baby's laundry and cooking. She'll wash his sheets, his sleep sack, his clothes. She'll cook us dinner, or like, even if it's something frozen, like she'll put it in the oven or whatever. So I will give her credit for that. Like it's not like she doesn't do anything around the house.
Right. The way we've got it set up, because and so it's easier not to snap at like kids when they're younger because they can't talk. Like they're
once they can talk back, it's different.
Yeah.
My 9-year-old.
They my daughter, like they just become little versions of ourselves, and I'm an a-hole.
I'm an angel. So I don't know what you're talking about.
You're an a-hole.
I am terrified of when Harrison, he already understands like what we're trying to say to him.
Yeah.
He just can't communicate back. I like to argue purely for the sport of arguing. Like, it is not because I want to fight. It is because it engages my brain and it allows me to critically think.
And your son's going to be just like that.
Yeah, and that's what's the scariest thing about this.
That's what
a little higher.
Yeah.
A little.
That's what you need to prepare yourself for. Like, my daughter will just, like, she does stuff, then it gets me. And then I'll snap, and then I'll instantly feel bad about it, especially when she, like, you can see that it hurt her feelings, and those tears are welling up. And, like, I think the most important thing is to get eye level with them. Like, sit down if you have to, but look them in the eyes and be like, hey, I did not mean to do that. I am feeling stressed. And you yelling at me made me yell at you, and that's not what we need to do. And just kind of repeat that. Because like I said, they learn more from how we handle our mess ups versus if we do things perfect, they're going to think we're perfect. And parenting is, I mean, as cliche as it sounds, there's no guidebook to it. Even the guidebooks are wrong.
Yeah, there are an infinite number of things that can go wrong that you're going to need to try and find a solution to, because every kid is different.
Exactly. Like with my daughter, when she's upset, when she's angry, if we put her in a new environment, she resets. Sometimes if you ask her questions, she'll think about it, she'll reset. Other days, asking her questions is the wrong thing to do, and it makes her mad, and she screams at you, and that, like, screaming at me, that's a trigger for me. I don't know, it's probably some unresolved childhood problems, but when they scream at me, I'm just like, oh, you little
Yeah, so that's one of the things to always remember, right, is that they're not responsible for our triggers.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to do it. So like we have to realize that it's a trigger and try to take a step back ourselves before we correct it. Honestly, that's what I use timeouts for when I need a minute. Because I don't think timeouts are actually that effective. There could be science that says otherwise. I don't feel like they are. The
depends on the kid.
timeout is solely for me. I need 3 minutes of you not screaming. So you're going to go in timeout.
We both
for
need
3
time.
minutes, right? Like that's. I'm trying to keep my cool. I realize that something is triggering me. I'm going to step back, and we're going to just go to our separate spots for a minute and just reset both of us.
So one of the things that I try and practice as often as possible with my son is when, like, if he's upset when I'm trying to get him in his high chair so he can eat, like, lunch or dinner or whatever, or change his diaper because it's dirty. Like, I take a deep breath and I try and speak in a low, calming voice. Like, I don't know how well it comes across on this audio, but I am a loud person.
It doesn't come through that loud.
Okay. But yeah, so I try and just like I'll put my hand on his chest if I'm changing his diaper and just like say, hey buddy, it's okay. And like try and change his diaper or whatever. Or if I need to, like I'll start giving him a snack as I put him in his high chair and speak to him and say, hey, we don't need to do that. And I generally understand what he's trying to say, even though it's like jabber at this point still.
They're like Pokemon. You can understand them.
Yeah. I tell him, hey, those aren't nice words. We don't say that. And have that like try and just be like a calming thing so that I can use it later in life because I know he knows what I'm saying, so that when he is older and can communicate better, he can understand like those aren't nice words. Like I don't need to say that. I need to try and calm down and take a deep breath. And like I try and tell him like deep breath in, and like I'll do like a
I try that. My daughter, she'll do it when she's calm. When she's mad, no, there ain't no breathing.
So we started doing the breathing. My wife got the kids to blow out their candles. Mm-hmm. So that's what she tells them to do is breathe in and blow out your candles. And then they have to do it for however old they are. And then do they feel better? And if they don't, then she has them do it again. And that one worked well. Don't tell them to breathe because then they're like off and I don't really care. But like, she's like, all right, let's blow out candles. And like, now it's a activity and not.
It's something that like flips their lid because like they've already flipped out and it resets them.
Yeah.
So like asking questions for my daughter. Another thing that like as far as that makes it hard to settle my daughter down. Most of the time she's like, if she's mad at me and I snapped at her, she gets mad at me even more, but she doesn't want me to go away. So like trying to be like, okay, I need 5 seconds away from you because I'm upset. You're upset. She's like, no, I don't want you to be away from me. I want you here. I just don't want you to interact with me. This is going to sound like bad parenting, but screen time does help with that.
So I know that like screen time is one of the things people always talk about, especially like the older generation, right? How bad it is. If they had that tool when we were growing up or when they were growing up, they would have used it too.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like 100%. Absolutely. They're just mad and salty that they didn't have it.
they're mad that they actually had to deal with us.
Yeah, right. Like,
but they could also beat us and feed us whiskey.
Like, if your kid is always on the screen, fine, that's a problem. But using screen time for certain points to keep your kid calm is totally okay.
Yeah.
It's just that the parents that are mad about it and don't do it, it's just mad because they didn't have that tool.
But that was something. I
guarantee you they would have done it when they were. Yeah.
Before I became a parent, I was like, I am not doing that. Like, my child is going to have no tablet, blah, blah, blah. And here she is 2.5 years, almost 3 years old, and she's got her own tablet. Just because I need like 5 seconds to myself.
Yeah, because that's something like, and that's what we do with my son. Is I know he's tired, but he's not quite ready to lay down, or he just woke up, and we're doing a snack. Let's sit down. Let's watch a couple episodes of Bluey, or put Toy Story on, or something like that. And he'll just sit in my lap and like munch on his snack.
So, yeah, TV. TV definitely helps. I can hear you typing.
So, there's nothing wrong with the screen time though. Like it's just it's a way, let them reset. Take your minute and step back too, and then that'll let you be a more attentive and better parent when they're not in front of the screen.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't feel guilty about it. I mean, if you're letting the iPad do all the babysitting, then yes, then you should evaluate it. But if you're doing it as a tool as needed, then it's fine. And like there are great things like ABC Mouse that are like these educational toddler games that help, or I mean, for older kids. I don't know. I don't have older kids, so I don't know. What are the kids into?
They got a couple good ones. We use one. Me, my wife, and my daughter use it. It's a Finch app, and it like lets you do goals, and you get to buy stuff for it. It's a neat little app, and my daughter loves it because she puts all her goals in there, and she feels like she's accomplishing something, and then she gets to buy clothes for it and stuff like that, and she absolutely loves it.
Yeah, I mean, like there's scientific evidence that proves that ticking off goals is a it does something good for your brain.
Not only that, but like playing games, like when the child is old enough to understand, like this is how this game works, like it improves reflexes, it improves eyesight, like and recognition, and that is one of the things that like I'm excited for my son to be old enough that I can finally start playing video games with him, even though I'm not going to take it easy on him. And he's going to learn.
Well, I don't know. Maybe in like Mario Karts, there's no mercy in Mario Karts.
No mercy in Mario Kart or Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Anything
Finish
else, maybe?
him.
I will put you in a body bag.
But I think as parents, we try too hard to be perfect, and there's that societal pressure to be perfect. And some of the best advice, I don't even know where this advice came from, but some of the best advice that I ever got was actually two things. Don't parent when you're embarrassed, because then you do things that you normally wouldn't do as a parent out of embarrassment. And just let your kids see you be human. And I think that helps relieve a lot of the stress of being a parent from you, because they're like, okay, well, like mom and dad don't have all the answers. It's okay if they don't.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, and normalizing that it's okay to apologize to your kid if you yell at them or you did something that was not okay, right? It's totally acceptable to tell your kid you're sorry when you made the wrong decision about something. Like, yep, my bad. Sorry about that.
Respect is a two-way street. Like you have to give respect. Like just because I'm your dad doesn't mean that you have to respect me. Right. And that's why I absolutely hate, like, my dad used to tell me, if I didn't say yes, sir, to him, he would ask me, does it break your jaws to say yes, sir? And I didn't know how to respond to that. I was like, do I say yes, sir? Because that's me saying that it breaks my jaws to say yes, sir. If I say no, sir, then I'm not saying yes, sir. So what do I say there? My dad typically got mad at me when I did that stuff.
I like to remind people to think, when you're with your kids, would you act that way with an adult? Would you yell at an adult that way? Would you accept that behavior? Right. And, as an adult, you get respect when you give respect, right? But then we expect our kids just to blindly follow. I don't know about you guys. I don't want a kid that just blindly follows.
Exactly. I mean, sometimes it would be nice.
Right. It would be nice.
It would be fantastic.
Follow within a reason, but I don't want them to just blindly follow whoever is giving them orders. I want them to be independent. And
we
by
want
telling
them
them
to think.
Follow me, do it, do this, that's just asking them to be blind followers.
Yeah.
I was very lucky in that was how my parents raised me, was they taught me how to think rather than what to think.
I think you had the least traumatic childhood.
Out of the three of us, it appears so.
Yeah. I got some doozies. Any therapists are welcome to crack open that bag of tricks there.
My wife is a therapist. She won't open up mine.
Yeah, like I've had therapists be like, "Yeah, you've got PTSD from this."
Oh,
yeah, that's why I get triggered.
And so there are certain things that will trigger me, which maybe we can go into on another
Everybody
episode.
has his triggers.
I am very, very grateful and glad that I had the parents that I did growing up, because it was one of those, no, it's okay if you don't think the same way we think, or if you don't have the same religion we do, or if you want to do this. Like, as long as you're trying to be a good person and not a dickhole, PG-13-ish.
My bar was set so low that my parents are like, "Hey, you don't have a jail record. You're good."
That is a low bar.
Yeah.
So there was a few years back, I got a DUI, and I called my family's house because it was one of the few numbers I knew, like, by memorization. And since my dad's a doctor, like, he always wakes up to a phone call because he's on call a lot of the time. I was like, "Hey, Dad, you'll never guess where I am." He's like, "Well, the caller ID says this." So
yeah. If I were to ever go to jail, like, it'll just be a family reunion for me.
Like, I want to laugh at that and think it's funny, but, like, I know it's also not funny.
It's hilarious. Go ahead, laugh. Like, my wife feels bad when I make comments like that.
That explains so much.
It do. But as far as the triggers, like, things for me, like hitting and I mean, my I was about to say my wife, my daughter threw a dirty diaper at me. And your first response is to, like, be angry about those things. Or when she's like, when my daughter's carrying a cup and she spills a little bit of it, panics, and drops it. Your automatic response is to be like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yep.
And it's something that I've had to work through, but I mean, the other day I had a good response where she dropped something and she's like, "Oh no." And she dropped more and she just kept dropping. And I was like, It's okay. We're going to get a towel. We're going to clean this up together.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, I think that was the first time in like 2 years that has happened for me. I just happened to have a good day that day.
There is a picture of me when I was, I think, maybe like 1 or maybe 2 years old. I have no idea how old I was. Like, I was old enough to be eating baby cereal. Like the Gerber brand, like where you used to, like, just mix in like milk or water with the, like, grains. And I had gotten it out of the pantry and spilled a whole bunch on the floor and tried to clean it up with just my bare hand. And like, you can see a handprint going across, like, all of the baby cereal. And I'm just sitting there and, like, I'm standing looking at my mom taking the picture, and it's like on a Polaroid or something. And it's one of those, like, I don't know what happened.
I was trying to clean it up and it just spread.
But yeah, it's one of those, like, you have to understand they don't have our motor functions. Like,
yeah,
They can't operate the same way we do. They're going to make mistakes and make messes. And
I mean, even with our motor functions, I still make messes.
yeah, I spill stuff every day.
I'm usually the one that ends up spilling the drink at the restaurant. So it's usually me goofing around, and and I'm like, that's on me.
I think just being cognizant of how, like, their abilities, their limits, understanding why they do the things that they do, or like why don't they do the things that they do. Just keeping that in mind is something that can help you not flip out. And if you do flip out, I mean, it's completely fine. I mean, it's not fine, but it will be okay. There's nothing that is broken that can't be fixed, for the most part. And just showing them the respect and giving them that I'm sorry. I hope you can forgive me, and not demand that you forgive me. And if you're still mad, that's okay too. But just talking your feelings out, Mr. Rogers will help with that. And I honestly think that's about as dad as it gets.
If you enjoy our content, please give us a 5-star rating and review on your favorite podcast platform. And if you want to keep up with the latest dad jokes and memes, find us on Instagram at asdadasitgetspod. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us at asdadasitgets@gmail.com.